Well, this summer won't be forgotten easily for the heat wave across many parts of the UK and indeed the world. But could this be a growing trend? Scientists are warning today that the world could be decades away from uncontrollable climate change that would make parts of the planet uninhabitable. A new study suggests a hothouse Earth could be triggered by a worldwide temperature rise of just 2 more degrees. Well, joining me now is Richard Allen, a professor of climate science at the University of Reading. Thank you very much indeed for talking to us. Do you agree with this warning that we could be heading for a hothouse planet?
Well, this is a really interesting perspective piece. So it's not new research per se, but it's bringing together evidence that suggests that what we know, which is that there are a very small possibility of these domino effects in the climate system that could cause us to move into a new acceleration of climate change.
And what is causing this? Is it man-made climate change, as many suspect?
Well, yes, we know that humans are causing the planet to warm up because we're emitting huge amounts of greenhouse gases into the atmosphere that's heating the planet. We've already seen the impacts starting to occur, so more intense heat waves, more intense flooding from heavy rainfall. Now, this study is slightly separate in that it's saying there could be an extra oomph to the climate change that's caused by these knock-on effects. For one example being melting Greenland ice, changing the density of the ocean that causes ocean circulations to change, and then that could have knock-on effects in melting Antarctica. So these are kind of already known about. There's a very small chance of very big consequences happening. So it's important to consider, but it's important not to move away from the main message, which is we need to reduce greenhouse gas emissions to avoid damaging climate change in the future.
But surely that change is going to have to be far more dramatic. Those cuts are going to have a far greater impact if this trend is to be reversed.
Well, we already know that we've started reducing greenhouse gas emissions, started process with the climate agreement in Paris. And we know we have to do more to limit damaging climate change. So it doesn't really change the message. We already know we have to do this. This is just reminding us that we know there are very small possibilities of monumental changes happening in the climate system that we also need to be aware of. But it doesn't change the main message that we need to reduce greenhouse gas emissions drastically to avoid dangerous climate change that is already impacting societies and ecosystems.
We've seen this real heat wave across many parts of the UK, across many parts of Europe now. Should we expect to see more of that in the coming years?
Well, I mean, these effects are caused by weather. It's the weather patterns causing heat waves and intense flooding. But what's happening is that because the world is 1 degree Celsius warmer than it would have been without our greenhouse gas emissions, it's making these events more severe. So more extreme heat waves that we've seen and more heavy rainfall and flooding, like we've also seen in Japan quite recently.
OK, Richard Allen, many thanks for joining us from the University of Reading.